I'm about to start on this super cute cozy mystery. It's actually 3 stories in one, which I didn't realize when I got this. I got this at Barnes & Noble, but it's the Halloween Cupcake Murder, I thought, by Carleen O'Connor. But on the back of the book, we also have Mrs. Claus and the Candy Corn Caper by Liz Ireland and a triple layer Halloween Murder by Carol Perry. So we have 3 actual stories in one. So I didn't know that, so I'm about to start reading, but it says here on the inside, praise for the Halloween Cupcake Murder. Don't touch that cupcake, at least not until Halloween. Amateur sleuths investigate when cupcakes become the weapon of choice in this collection of cozy novellas. The 3 cozy writers successfully exploit the deadly cupcake theme in entertaining mysteries that will appeal to readers for a holiday treat. 3 different takes on Halloween and cupcakes that range from historical to fanciful by Library Journal and Kirkus Reviews. So I'm excited to see how that goes while I dig in with my coffee, because I've had to read at least one cozy Halloween Cupcake Murder, as you saw while I was drinking my apple cinnamon latte. I don't have time to talk about the book now because people are about to wake up, which is why I was whispering, but I have to actually go dye my hair today because I'm getting I'm 50-year-old grays, which doesn't look great when you have dark brown hair. So I'm gonna go do that now. It's a lovely Sunday. It's a beautiful day. I might go for a little walk, and I'm going to continue with my reading of Discovery of Witches and Rewitched, which I've been talking about, and try to make progress on these books. And I'll tell you what I discover when I dig in next. I'm reading this week for the middle of October in my bedroom, where I have my old leather reading chair and my footstool, which these are on. These are the books I rotate through in the mornings and the evenings. I'll read about 20-30 minutes of each, and about every 10 days I can finish a batch of books. So I'm reading Rewitched, which is a new released really cute sort of bookstore romance. And I'm reading the very popular, which I never have before, The Very Secret Society of a Regular, which is by Sangyu Mandana. And of course, for a little bit of that spooky horror, I'm doing The Graveyard Shift by Amel Rio, and it's a Barnes & Noble monthly pick, where I picked this up in my haul the other day. Have not started it yet, but I'm going to be starting this one in the morning. So I'm really excited about Graveyard Shift, and it's a pretty slim book, not very big compared to a regular Society of Witches. Is pretty chunky. And of course, Rewitched is one of those ones you can read pretty quick because it has that kind of small, thin romance shape to it. I'm very excited about reading Graveyard Shift. It's getting amazing reviews. It's kind of like a hair-tingling, spine-raising kind of a story from what I understand. A little bit strange. It's supposed to have a lot of flaws and character issues in the book, but in a way that makes it sort of amazing and sort of chilly mystery and scary and hostile. So I'll be interested in that. Dead Voices is by Catherine Arden. It's the second book in the Small Spaces Quartet, which is amazing. It's a children's novel, middle school novel, basically. And this is the same author who wrote The Bear and the Nightingale, which I have read as well. And I've only read the first 2 chapters so far. And so I'll talk about more about that when I get in there. But the first book was this purple one here called Small Spaces. And that one is about where these friends, and I guess, yeah, middle school, as I recall. This was last year I read it. They go on a school field trip on a bus to like an old harvest farm, you know, and things creepy and weird and terrifying things happen to them when they're on this field trip on the farm. They get pulled into sort of a haunted house that's possessed. I think, as I recall, fog comes down all over the group, and they get separated from the group in these cornfields, and there's just bodies and all kinds of scary things going on. And so far this one's really good. Very good considering middle grade, and very well done. The Little Witch is my beautiful New York Reviewed children's collection of these hardback kind of classic children's books, and I have about 5 or 6 of them, and you can get them usually on eBay. I don't think they make them anymore, but this is by Ottfried Pressler, and it's an older book
It's kind of a quintessential children's, and I'd say, I guess I would say younger kids, but this is literature that's as old, tends to be kind of challenging. So it probably would read almost maybe beyond what a middle school would be these days. But it has been translated out of German, and I believe this was written in 1940? 1957. So it's definitely an old classic, and I have read it before. It's been several years. And then I'm reading, of course, The X-Hex, which is a brand new release as well by Aaron Sterling. It's supposed to be really perfect and really witchy and really getting you in the mood for Halloween, with like a Halloween festival and the whole everything from the candy to the costume to the pumpkin and things gone wrong and a disgruntled ex. So have not started this. This will probably be tomorrow as well. And I've started Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. It is an older book, and I have never read it. It's blown my mind, and it is absolutely amazing. The new Netflix show of it is out. I have not watched the show. I will not until I read the book. No, I lied. I watched the first episode, and then I realized, wait a minute, I think this is a book. Stop, full stop, red light. I backed up. When I did my Barnes & Noble haul 2 days later, I bought the book. So then I'll go back and watch it, the rest of it, after I read the book. But now at least I have an idea of what the characters look like based on seeing the show, what I think they look like when I see them in this book. And it is amazing. I've read, I don't know, 5 chapters or whatever that is. So I will talk about this as well. So I read probably about 20 to 30 minutes per book a day, keeping track of it on my Bookly app. And I'll read maybe 1 hour, 3 of them, and then 1 in the afternoon, the other 2 or 3 in the evening. And then I have a couple of books on my pile in my living Wow. So I reached up page 107. First of all, I decided not to dye my hair today because it's too much effort when you have this much hair and it looks like it's psycho, and all I want to do is read, and that takes too long. So I'll just go gray a little longer. I'll do that maybe later tonight. So I was reading this for the last 40 minutes. This is how far I've gotten. This book came out in 2011, and Deborah Harkness originally wrote it as sort of a thought experiment. And I had never read it. My interest in the Gothic and the horror developed several years after that, when I was in graduate school for my English degree. And I'm a little thrown back here because we have the central character of Matthew Claremont, who is a vampire. And we're getting into the scene now where, this is a slow burn book. It's a slow burn between the two main characters, both academics, both at this famous kind of literary research college. And she's a witch, he's a vampire, and obviously it's building into like a romance. It's a slow burn. It's a little slow at times. But we finally got into this scene where he's visiting a friend of his. And for the first time, we see him like hunting deer or elk or stag, and talking to his friend about how he's hunting Diana, he's saying he's not, but his friend is saying he's hunting her and he craves her, wants to taste her. And then we go into some backstory about how, you know, he had maybe killed some other women, because he's been alive for hundreds of years. So over the course of all his years. And then, of course, he shows shame and regret and guilt. And I won't get into those details, but I found myself very disturbed. Like I knew he was a vampire and he's cold, like cold in tone, cold in his skin, and I was really enjoying his protective instincts toward her against all these other dark creatures and things like that. But as soon as we got into him seeing the hunting and talking about the backstory of some things he's done, my opinion of him has changed. Hopefully it can be redeemed a little bit. I mean, obviously vampires drink blood, that's what they do, but it's kind of come to my attention that I guess I don't think I'm going to like vampire stories. You know, I am going to be doing an entire course. I've been working on it, a very detailed 16-week course on witches and history and literature. And so I've chosen about 60 witch themed books, fiction, a couple nonfiction, some older, some classics, some modern, contemporary, gothic, some horror, some fantasy, some romance, to screen, reading them all, which you'll see me talking about some of them here, to kind of narrow down to the ones that I want to teach in the class to tie into the historical and literary themes and the literary canon of the witch that I'm going to be teaching about in that class, which is something I'll be able to offer to anyone that sees this video. I'll have it linked eventually when it's done in all my videos, but this is definitely what I'm going to include because it was so well known. It's been so well known and essential in, you know, witch fiction, and this is a real, almost a crossover, right, of a witch and vampire fiction. Now, this book is, so I guess what I'm leading at is I'm going to be reading some Anne Rice books, and I have a feeling I'm not going to like them. The vampire thing bothered me, and I don't know if it bothered me, the vampire thing itself. What's bothering me is my brain was starting to visualize him as like a hero, as a charming chivalric romance, someone you could fall in love with. But then when you hear about these things, you're reminded that, ooh, you know, like, you don't want to fall in love with that. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting so far. But what's interesting is this book was really written as it's classified as a historical fiction and a romance fantasy. And I'm thinking, you know, this really borders more dark academia, and I don't get the historical context part. I'm not that far enough into it yet. From what I have read and know of historical fiction, that's not what I'm getting here. Not much historical about any of the witches and the vampire stuff. Obviously, that's all not real. I'm definitely getting more a feel, though, of the dark academia. There's a bits of gothic as well in here that's coming across through some of the sublime, through some of the landscapes, through some of the architecture, and a lot of early gothic elements I am seeing in here. So I am going to be discussing that and definitely using this book for my class, probably as a recommended read, where I'll go into far more extensive lectures and discussions and literary analysis and comparisons and all kinds of things about the book, which I won't give away in here. So I'm just giving you a little synopsis and my impressions as I'm reading. So that's kind of what I've come up with so far. And I also found the scene where he's visiting his friend Hamish for a long period of time at his estate, very kind of a little dragging. And as a writer myself, and as someone who, you know, studied literature and taught literature, this character is what I call more of what I've seen so far, a cardboard character, meaning he exists only to bring out elements of the main character through a conversation and dialogue of backstory and of character development. So he's almost like a catalyst or a tool for the writer to bring out character traits of who we really care about, who is Matthew the vampire. So whether Hamish shows up again, I guess we'll find out. But so far, that was blatantly screaming obvious to me, and that's something I can talk about in my course about all the tricks for writing. It is a technique to do character development and to do plot movement, plot development through dialogue, through external characters. But sometimes I feel like this one was too blatantly obvious for me. But so far, I am intrigued, continuing to read, and it is gripping. I'm not gonna lie, even in the slow parts, it has an air of suspense to it, because you know something's gonna go down. They're gonna get together. They're gonna hook up. Someone's gonna get killed. She's gonna be in danger. He's gonna save her. But she's all, you know, you can kind of see where it's going, but who knows what all else happens in there about this magic alchemic book. This is all about a book of alchemy that has been missing for years and years and centuries or whatever, and somehow this main character unleashes it, and everybody wants it. So I don't want to give much more away, so I'll proceed with my reading. Stay tuned. I have to show you guys something since we're talking about witches real quick. This is by Jim Shore, the artist. This is my sculpture of that should light up but doesn't, my little witch inside in front of her castle with a brew pot and the little kitty. And it's beautiful. It's hand painted. It's really heavy. It's supposed to light up. I just realized I just got it and there's batteries here and the world's smallest screw. I have no idea if I'm gonna be able to get that undone without help. I'm gonna go do that now and I will show you what it does. But this is a part of my Halloween decor. It's brand new. Okay, when I put batteries in, you can hear the lawnmower out there. It's such a nice, beautiful mid-October day, which is odd for here that everyone's out there doing their yard. So I put it in, it lights up. Look. I actually got this on QVC, but it should be on Amazon, I think Hallmark.com. And Jim Shore makes beautiful figurines. He does a Halloween collection every year. He does the Disney line. I have several of the Disney ones. I have a Mickey and Minnie Halloween one as well. But it's really beautiful. It's very eerie. Sets the scene nicely. It's hand painted. No music or anything. It's a little switch on the bottom. Yeah, okay. Back to more reading.
Best coffee cake ever. Been making it for a long time. Super good. It's actually vegan, dairy free. I put some pumpkin spice in it. Obviously, I'm not gonna eat all this, but I'm eating one of the 3. Try to be watching the show while I'm reading. I had only read, like I said, watched the first episode before I started the book, and then I said, no, false stop, I'm gonna go read the book. And so I'm really tempted. I'm on chapter 11. I'm really tempted to just watch a little, read a little, watch a little, read a little, so I can see which scenes come to life while I'm reading, which ones are skipped over, and compare side by side versus finishing and then going to watch it or something like that. But shows tend to skip stuff, so they could skip 5 chapters and move to the next scene to fit everything in, or it might be different, and I don't want to see anything that's too far ahead that I think that hasn't happened in the book yet that ruins it. But I also am not really the kind of person that needs to have surprises, and I also feel like I already have stuck in my head that's the downside of watching the show first or the movie first, is you see your book characters the way they're portrayed. You already caught a glimpse of in the show. So that's all I see is those two characters. So at this point, I'm like, why don't I just go ahead and watch some? I'm really torn. I don't know. I might go watch one episode right now while I'm eating my breakfast, which will only be episode 2. I mean, really, I must still be ahead of that, right? This is how far I've gotten. Really good book. Really good example of a combination of a dark academia to a kind of, I guess you could say, creature romance, vampire and witch romance, and a little bit of mystery here about what this is all about. So it's a nice kind of crossover genre book so far, and I can't make my full analysis until I read everything. But right now I need to make my coffee and go do something with my hair. I still need to dye my hair, and I need to comb my hair because it's insane. And oh no, but I think I'm gonna watch an episode first. Let's go do that now, and then I'll deal with my hair, because really, who cares? Okay, wow. So I went ahead and did watch episode 2 of Discovery of Witches while I was working on some of my art. And then I watched episode 3, and then I watched episode 4. Wow. I've officially passed the part where I'm further along than in the book. And oh my gosh, it's so addicting. It's insane. I cried twice. What is wrong with me? So like I'm almost the kind of person that like wants to go online and find out what happens at the end because I can't wait. So I decided to stop, not do any more until I catch up in the book. Now, ironically, when I started watching episode 2, it went to the scene I was talking about in a previous video. Oh my god, I scratched my nose. I was talking about how the scene where Matthew goes hunting of an animal because he's a vampire, how that changed my whole opinion and vibe for him, and how it kind of ruined that for me. But that they showed that scene, and it was intense and disturbing, and ironically that's the scene that it started with right when I went back to continue watching the show. So I can say that thank goodness they didn't show the elongated visit with his friend Hamish, which is when that hunting took place of the elk or whatever, like they did in the book. It went on and on, this long dialogue, and so they didn't show any of that. Thank goodness, they skipped right past that. So there's definitely a lot of differences. Like I'm seeing stuff in the show that out of order of what I saw in the book. Like for example, in the book, Matthew takes her to a yoga class because she likes yoga, and he says, so how about I'll take you to a special yoga class where you're never seen a yoga class like this. And he takes her on this winding kind of gothic hill and to this old mansion where there's a yoga class full of creatures, demons, witches, and vampires, people that are not human, not normal. So she fits in this amazing old gothic mansion. And then turns out that it's his home, and he lets the gal use it for yoga. Well, and none of these are cliffhanger or giveaways or anything. None of this is like that essential to the plot. But in the show, they didn't show that. He's like, oh, I'm going to take you away from here for the day. I'm taking you to my home. And they just go right to the home, and he gives her tour. There's like no yoga class. There's no creatures. There's nothing like that. So there's definitely some differences, enormously. And, yeah, so I'm gonna have to keep reading, which I'm gonna continue doing today, and we will see what I think. But I'm not gonna give away any key plot points or anything like that if you haven't read it. Hey, do you guys like my shirt? The Sanderson Sisters Hocus Pocus. I'm looking at the background. I don't know what that says, but yeah, this is from Torrid, actually. New for this year if you're a Hocus Pocus fan like me. Okay. Well, I'm going to continue reading. I have other things to do. I really need to move around. I have projects, and I need to do something with this hair. It's been 6 months since I dyed my hair, my roots. Actually, that's not bad considering how dark my hair is and that I'm 50 years old. eat more than 4 because they're very high in selenium, but they're extremely good for you, and of course good fiber. And I have my beautiful pumpkin spice black coffee. I put soy milk in the first half, vanilla soy milk, did the coffee on top, and put in just 2 teaspoons of a pumpkin spice syrup. I can't do the heavier coffee drinks every day, unfortunately, as much as I would love to, and I try to rotate every 3 days with black, just for the calorie management and hope it all evens out. But then again, when you're eating cheese and coffee cake, well,
Oh my God, you know how I said it?
so I'm sipping my spicy tea, my chai, and trying to drink it without honey. I tried to put raw honey in my tea because it just doesn't taste as good without it, but I'm trying to like have a little less sugar in my drink. If I had a sugary coffee drink in the morning, I try not to put it in my tea, but it's hard to swallow. Okay. I got this stash 6-pack of autumn themed teas, and they're amazing. That's what I've been showing in my videos. So I'm actually right now about to start Slewfoot because I'm working on my class in witches and witchcraft and literature, and it's October and it's Halloween. Yes, I'm still reading this week, as you know, Discovery of Witches. I'm reading Rewitched. I'm reading The X-Hex. I'm reading Dark Voices, and I'm reading well, I tend to read about 6 books at once because I'm the kind of person where I just can't wait a whole 3, 4, 5, 6 days to start a new story. And I have a shorter attention span with one story, so I like to read like maybe 3 in a row and then 3 more in a row. So I'm excited about reading Slewfoot. It's supposed to be amazing, and if this makes the cut, I'm going to include it in my class of required reading, which is what I'm doing now. Is I'm previewing 70 books on witches and literature of all different genres to choose for my class I'm going to be doing. It'll take me about 4 months to get the class together. So I'm right now about to start it. I'm going to tell you my first impressions of what I think, and of course I'm going to write in my books and annotate them, which I do. If I love a book to pieces, to death, if I absolutely am in love with a book, I will go out after I've annotated and wrote my notes in it and I will buy the hardback for my collection. I just finished reading Bewitched by Edith Wharton. I did a full video on a review of this story as well, including an analysis of the literary aspects of it, talking about the genres that it's in, some synopsis, some of the questions it brings up. So that was really actually very fascinating. A little bit about Edith Wharton's life, so check that out. I will link that below, and I'm going to go read. I'm sold on the book. So I had to switch my glasses to my reading glasses because the other ones were distance glasses. I just read the first page and I'm sold. I love it. I already know I love it. It's going to be amazing. So being someone who has a literary degree, who has taught English, who has read hundreds of books, I can tell if I'm going to like a book or not within the first page, and this one makes the cut. I mean, really, have you guys read the beginning of this? A shadow deep in darkness, a whisper, another, no, more whispers, urgent. I do not hear you. I cannot hear you, for the dead do not hear. A chorus of whispers, leave me be. You must wake. No, I am dead, and dead I shall remain. You can hide no longer. There is nothing left for me out there. That's it. That's as far as I read. All right, I'm going to continue. Tell you what I think of the first chapter. So, already we have a bit of that horror going on in here. A very gruesome scene at the beginning. Wow. The shadow began to find its shape, the blood forming arteries and veins, cartilage, bone, sinew, and muscle. It began lapping the blood. Then, realizing it now had teeth, tore into the animal, shoving its muzzle into the warm guts, devouring flesh and bone alike. Okay, well, oh, by the way, guys, this scared the crap out of me when I opened the book. Read on the Fall in the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. I read this about every 2 or 3 years. It's really great for Halloween season. It's just the most sort of spooky, decrepit, eerie, almost gothic style version of a haunted house description of literature you've probably ever read, and it's amazing. I'm also going to be doing What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher right after. This is new. It's a USA Today bestseller. I've never read it. This is actually a retelling on The Fall in the House of Usher. So obviously done in a whole story form. So I'm really excited about this. I've read a lot of reviews. I've heard a lot of different things about it. I mean, it's not brand new. It was written in 2022. But it says here, a gripping and atmospheric reimagining of Edgar Allan Poe's The Fall in the House of Usher from Hugo, Locust, and Nebula award-winning author T. Kingfisher. And it's supposed to be like a really grotesque romp. Obviously, Fall in the House of Usher is pretty grotesque as well, but this is supposed to be just entertaining and a speedy read, not done as much of like a classic lit style as the original. So the reading will be more modern, more familiar to people. So I will report on this as I read it and tell you what I think. So I just got through a few more chapters of the X-Hex. Finally got around to dyeing my hair. It's air drying. As you can see, it's a nice sunny day, which is unusual here for this time of year. I have to say that I am going to review the X-Hex side by side with Rewitched, which I'm reading at the same time. And originally I thought I was going to like the X-Hex more as far as how each one started out in comparison to Bewitched, but now I'm way leaning toward I'm not Bewitched, Rewitched. I'm leaning way more toward Rewitched. The one thing I'm really not liking, and I will discuss this in my review, is that the author of the X-Hex is using way too many bad words, which don't seem to fit in alignment with the genre of this kind of cute, spooky, holiday, cozy,
witchy romance. I don't know, but I'll discuss that more in my review. But every chapter has F words, like multiple F words. It's and you know I cuss plenty like anyone else, and it doesn't fit the genre. Suspense, a thriller, but this genre, like, even for me, it's turning me off. I don't know. And it's not quite as, Alexa, stop. It's not quite as engaging to me as I'm getting further into it. It doesn't feel quite as magical as the magical feel I'm getting from Rewitched. But I will discuss that further as I go blow dry out the rest of my hair and make myself some tea. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about Sawtooth, which I also read this morning. I want to talk a little bit about Slewfoot. Probably on about page 90 now. I'm going to save a majority of my commentary and analysis and things of that nature for when I do the final review video and my what I read in the month. But of all the books I'm reading so far this month, next to Discovery of Witches, of course, being number 1, this is surprisingly, extremely surprisingly, falling along in the number 2 race, because since I do tend to read about 3 to 6 books at a time. It's brilliant as far as the colonial or New World, I guess you could say, the New World Puritan setting. If you've seen the movie Scarlet Letter with Demi Moore, and I know that Robert Duvall is in it, and Gary Oldman. Anyway, excellent movie, one of my favorites, one of my favorite novels, actually, Scarlet Letter. But that setting, that village, that feel of how they dressed and what's going on, how the women are treated, and the fear and the religious persecution, and the women being constantly, accused of witches, or keep silent, or else we're going to frame you as a witch just to shut you up and get rid of you. That's going on in this book. The setting is vivid. It's brilliant. It's pulls you right in. You can see it, you can taste it, you can smell it. It's very real. It's well done. The main character, Agatha, I would say, is a strong female heroine, does try not to fall into those norms, which I really love and appreciate. And I think overall it does tend to lose me a little when it, this book is about the battle of good and evil, when it falls a little bit into those scenes with the devil, Slewfoot, who you can kind of assume and just guess from the very first page that her job is going to be to defeat him or escape him, one or the other. I lose it a little bit because there's some scenes from the perspective of the devil, which is a little odd to me and disturbing. But I like it better, and those are just little bits and glimpses, but I like it better when it stays in with the real people and with the historical kind of time period. So overall, I'm very impressed by this book. I was really skeptical, so this is definitely going to be a keeper for my witch class. And I have to give another update. I did finish. I'm terrible. I finished season 1 of Discovery of Witches because it's amazing. It's so good. I love it. I love it. I just want to rip right into the next season, but I am only halfway through the first book, and so I'm reading it in tandem with watching the season. So I'm gonna keep finishing it this week, obviously, but then I'm like, should I actually read the whole second book before I watch the second season this time? Should I just plow through all the seasons but before I get to the next book? I don't know, but I want to watch it now. Oh, that was a terrible mistake. I was trying to do both at once because it's so good, and the book is it's just amazing. I have no words. It's for me, the series is feeling on par with how I felt watching Outlander, which is my favorite show of all time. Of course, they're on up to season 7, I think now. If you have not seen Outlander, I read the books or not, it's absolutely bloody fantastic, and just it makes me so emotional. But this is feeling a little bit like that to me. So that's saying something, because I have not really found another show and or books that match to me
The Feeling of Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I watched the show long before I read any of the books, and I only read the first book. So I've seen this series like 5 times. It's just so incredible. And this is one I would watch again and again, Discovery of Witches. But I'm going to talk about that later on. Got to go about my day. I have to go to the plastic surgeon, so I can talk about that. Some people were asking. I had a double mastectomy back in March, preventatively by choice, because I found out I have the BRCA1 gene, which is the same gene that Angelina Jolie had. I also had my ovaries and fallopian tubes removed because that gene causes cancer in all those organs. I went right into phase 1 of reconstruction. Ended up with a bad infection on one side, partly through the reconstruction process. Had to have emergency surgery to have the expander taken back out. Had to wait a couple months for it to heal. Had to go back in just a few weeks ago, get another one put back in, start the expansion process all over again, which is the second phase of the reconstruction, because I'm going to end up getting implants. And and right now I have expanders in there. But yeah, so I've had 3 surgeries. It'll be 4 by the time I'm done. Which should be by the end of November here. So yeah, I had a lot of convalescing, a lot of recoveries, and that's what really pulled me back into my booktube, is all this convalescing time after each of these surgeries. Because when you're 50 years old at my age, these surgeries knock your ass down. I mean, it is hard. I didn't have any pain after my double mastectomy. I mean, call me a freak, or I only used meds for I think 2 to 3 days. There really isn't a lot of pain because they take all your nerves when they take everything. So you just kind of feel like you were working out at the gym and you hadn't lifted weights in a while, kind of that kind of soreness, but the whole thing has been fine until I got that infection. Then it all went to crap. I mean, that was uncomfortable. But other than that, it's been fine, but it's the recovery that just kills me, like weeks of fatigue. And they say you can't exercise or hardly raise your blood pressure for 6 weeks because it can bust open your incisions, and you get more out of shape. And I've gained like 12 pounds back, and it's just that's my life now. But I'm getting ready to go there to get everything checked out and get ready for my final surgery approval. So more reading to come. Everyone, I wanted to talk a little bit about Slewfoot. It's coming along, 100 pages or more in. I get a little baffled when we get to the scenes that flips over to the dark forces, which is like the devil who's watching or stalking our main character, and some other evil forces. I'll save most of this to talk about in my review, but I'm going to read you a quick little passage. So we do get little glimpses of that horror. excuse me, horror in here. She plucked the fruit. It glistened with dew, felt firm and ripe, smelled so sweet. Her mouth watered and she took a bite. When she did, the apple twitched. She looked at it, at the gash where she'd bitten. It was bleeding like an open wound. The blood bubbled, then dark, prickly legs began to emerge. They were spiders, tiny black spiders, dozens of them. They spilled out of the apple onto her hand. She threw down the apple, tried to spit the rest from her mouth, and that was when she discovered them on her tongue, her teeth, the roof of her mouth, squirming and twisting and pricking and prodding. She opened her mouth to scream, but didn't, because she couldn't, as they were in her throat. So definitely there's some more like grotesque and, you know, horror-ish type scenes in here, you know, but those glimpses are short, like a page and a half. And then we get back to Abatha's narrative as she's not aware yet that she's battling evil forces, but that's really what's going on here. Not to mention the evil in humans of the village she lives in, who are obviously way against women, who are trying to get her out of the village. They're framing her to set her up, to probably accusing her of being a witch. I'm guessing, I have no idea, but it kind of looks like it's unfolding that way. So I will keep you posted without many spoilers, and continue to analyze this book, but save most of my commentary for the what I read in October video. So if you guys like my owl shirt, this is from Quacker Factory. A little big, but I love it, and I'm going to continue reading. Reading this in the Company of Witches by Orly Wallace. This is one I covered in my Barnes & Noble second haul video that I just put out a couple days ago, so check that out. This is the book I read in bed at night, so because I can get through these cozy mysteries faster. I'm not the biggest cozy mystery fan. I only really read them in autumn, maybe a Christmas cozy mystery. To me, they're seasonal kind of books. Obviously, they're not great masterpieces of fiction, but they're fun, atmospheric, they're cozy. This one is very, very good. It's a welcome addition to the cozy mystery genre. Even the cover is beautiful. This one's hard to find. It's constantly sold out on Amazon. You can get it on the Barnes & Noble website, though. But yeah, this takes place in a kind of a haunted-y, gothic-y, my own words there that I've kind of embellished a little bit. B&B breakfast, and it's about a woman who lives with her two aunts, and they're witches, and a guest dies there, and they have to figure out who did it. Very classic Agatha Christie style, weed through the possibilities. But it's very enchanting. It's very, very easy to read. It leaves you on the edge of your seat. It's just the perfect description of the time of year, Halloween. And so here's a little bit of a
a glimpse. And, you know, the main character perspective, who's the younger girl who lives with her aunts, she's not really fully in tune with all the information that comes with the aunts being witches. Like, she didn't really know, but she's kind of suspected. Like, how did my aunts always know when someone was at the door before the bell rang? Or how did Nora keep her flowers blooming long past the time when everyone else's died? Why was it the fire raged when one of us was upset, or a clear sky clouded over when one of us was sad? The explanation was simple, but no one would ever believe it. Magic. Enchantments and conjurations, spells and incantations, divinations and charms, all the hocus pocus old wives used to speak of in hushed tones by the fire. My aunts could do all of those things. They could do them because they were witches. I was too, or at least I used to be. So this is like something she's more recently become aware of and is coming into. And as they're trying to figure out who solved this murder, she's starting to wonder if her aunts used their powers and did it, or why. And to be honest, so far I have no clue. I can't figure it out. I'm really pretty good at usually figuring out stuff ahead of time, but this is a great book, and I'll keep reading and tell you what I think at the end. One thing I wanted to add, some of you may not be aware of this. I'm going to be doing a video on the difference between horror and terror literature, all stemming back to roots of the Gothic. But do any of you know the difference between terror and horror? I am terrified. I am horrified. So as an English teacher, this is something I used to teach my students. A lot of them thought it was the same, horror and terror, especially when it comes to literature as a genre, like horror novels, like it's the same thing, but really it's not. And I'm going to summarize this in a very simple manner that you can remember. So terror is what you feel. Horror is what you see. So I am terrified of the noises. Boom, boom, boom. Someone's slapping the house at night and the shutters are banging and you're hearing strange woo, ghosty sounds. I'm terrified. That is terror. Emotions of fear. Horror. I just saw my cat rip into a mouse, shred its guts on my living room floor. There's a giant blood stain. And he's eating it with gusto, and there's blood running down his beautiful white fur. That is horror, something that you've seen that is horrifying to see. This is the best way that I can explain it. I will get way more into this, and there's obviously some caveats and nuances to that. But when you're reading for Halloween, if you're studying Gothic literature, horror fiction, just know terror and horror are not the same. Terror is what you feel, and horror is often what you see, depictions of horrifying things. All right, off I go. Yeah. Painfully finished the book. A lot of speed reading in the final half. The only thing that needs to be hexed is this book. Yeah. Let's talk about that. This is a problem with
literary enthusiasts, those who study great books, classic literature, complicated literature, amazing masterpieces and literary works, who sometimes want to read for fun, for atmospheric pleasure, to get into the mood of the season, who make the mistake of following reviews on booktube by 20-something-year-olds who are likely, often, maybe not always, getting endorsements, or who generally just love this type because that's what they read. Then going from that kind of reading to something, when you just want to experience something fun and atmospheric, it's like, I feel like I'm dumbing myself down or something. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm reading Rewitched right now. And that is charming and cute and sweet and magical and atmospheric. This sucked the donkey all the way home. I mean, I'm just saying it like it is. The cover is amazing. I expected cute, atmospheric Halloween vibes, sweet romance or charming romance. This read like an R-rated novel. This type of writing didn't match the cover or the genre it portrays. So this really goes to show you how good marketing, a good cover designer, TikTok, as a TikTok sensation book, really can sway the buyer. There's multiple F words in every single chapter. Now, I cuss like a sailor when needed, but for atmospheric, cute, Halloween-y, charming, cozy romance style that this kind of emits, that's not like a zebra, like even in zebra historical romance novels, you get a lot of sex scenes and stuff like that. This had the more explicit sex scenes, but it doesn't seem like it's that kind of a book. And there's multiple F words. It's not just F this and F that, and it's also in the character's thoughts. Like the writer couldn't think of something better to say than the F word when a character is annoyed, like WTF or whatever, or even in narrative. It's in narrative, it's in dialogue, and it's in the character's thoughts. And it's not necessary. And it just killed the vibe for me. And then talking about Apple and cell phones and computers in here, it felt too modern and didn't feel enough of like an escape for me. I wanted like a Bewitched, Hocus Pocus, kind of like a magical vibe. This is just like young Friends TV show, young, you can tell, 20-something tailored. The dialogue was like a slug in a lot of parts. Now, don't get me wrong, it started off really well. The first 3 chapters were good. It engaged me, it hooked me in. But after that, it just became so silly, and the dialogue was pointless half the time. And I'll get more into that into my review. The plot line was fine. It was a good concept. It was executed poorly. And even the sex scene was like she gets it back on with her ex-boyfriend. And as soon as they get into it, like the first page, she's like, make me blank blank, as in like, provide me this service. Like right when they start. And it just seems so like not natural flowing like dialogue in the middle of that scene. It was just sucked. Like it was like torture. Unfortunately, so then I had to speed read a lot to get through, and then read the last couple of chapters in a slow motion. If I was in my 20s, hadn't read a lot of good literature or books, didn't have a lot of experience with sex, I guess, or I'm sorry, sex novels, or a lot of experience with sex. And if I hadn't read a ton of books in this type of genre, it might be fine and good and cute. That's just me. Slander me, but yeah, it was pulling teeth. I want my teeth back. Give me my teeth back. Down a little bit. Finishing this book and saying that last part and thinking about it more. I'm going to do an extensive review comparing this book to Rewitched, which are 2 popular witchy books that just came out. And, I'm the kind of booktuber who is honest. I'm not going to tell you a book is good and great if it's not. I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it. I'll tell you what's good about it. I'll save my details about all the good things in my review. This is more just a quick reaction to not just the ending, just the pain involved in trying to finish it, you know. Obviously Aaron Sterling has written some good books. I feel like TikTok and, you know, booktube, certain younger tailored booktubers and channels, everyone, you know, a book that gets on the top 100 on Amazon or bestseller right now, it gets there not necessarily for the reviews, from the marketing, from the endorsements. Now, I tell you, under a pen name, I've written and published many books, and I can tell you that, and I've done this with some of my books, you can pay for reviews from Kirkus Reviews. I think it was like Reader's Digest. You can get ARCs, which is advanced reader copies. You can provide to platforms. Like any of us could go sign up for those platforms where we can be advanced readers for authors trying to promote work. You can get 500 people that will take a book for free, and in exchange to leave a review on Amazon or wherever. And when you are getting a book for free and the author isn't launched yet, you don't really want to trash their book entirely. So you're a little more diplomatic in what you say. And some people really might like that kind of thing, but don't assume that all 100, 200, 500 reviews are genuine reviews. Now, I'll tell you, I've been around a long time. I've had a lot of experience with books. I was a book editor. Different books appeal to different people for different reasons. And we all have our preferences. You know, 10 people can read the same book and have completely different opinions of it. But I guess I would say that I'm drawn to good writing, amazing character development, lyrical prose, charm. The title and just setting it at the time of year where there's like throwing in a fall festival and a few mentions of ghosts and things like that, and oh, the families are witches, doesn't mean the writing was good. It doesn't mean it wasn't boring. It doesn't mean the story was great. But you know, I felt no bond, no connection whatsoever to any of these characters. I felt nothing for them. Something about their development didn't make you feel anything. It just felt like it was meant to be pure on slapstick kind of entertainment. Like if you put the group of friends in the early days of Friends together and in a kind of a more adult type cutesy Halloween themed movie, and I don't know, I don't know how to describe that. I really don't. I was really enjoying it at the beginning, and then I just I couldn't do it. I couldn't like stick with it. You know, they see a ghost in a library. Okay, cool. Woo, a ghost. It's just the exes hating each other, the unrequited love, same old trope. But it honestly, what got me was the weirdness of the cussing in here, the cheesy sex scene, not even good, well-written one. And then, it didn't match the genre. I would expect that in a suspense novel, a crime drama, a more contemporary romance that wasn't tailored to be a holiday, autonomous, atmospheric type book. It just didn't fit. It didn't fit, and it wasn't consistent throughout. I'm at a loss for words. You know, I'm at a loss for words. But yeah, I am reading Rewitched. I can tell you I'm enjoying that 1,000 times more. It actually feels more magical, more charming, more Halloween-ish. It feels right for the cover. It doesn't have the cussing. It doesn't have, I don't know. It just, the writing is better. The descriptions are better. This has so much boring dialogue. You know, one thing about dialogue is every word from a character's mouth has to advance the plot forward. You don't do normal chit-chats like, hey, what's up? You look like you got some good sex, and right on, dude. Like weird commentary, like Young vibe, like just weird socially dialogue stuff. You're not supposed to put that in your dialogue. Every line has to have a purpose. Every line has to move the plot forward. And I used to teach writing, so like I can tell you that, oh, you're a badass witch. Yeah, we're both badass witches. You know, it's like, it's just stupid. It just felt so dumb to me. It was dumb. Like I felt like oh good, that's it. Let's go to plan A. Quarter ass, if you ask me. Like just the dialogue. It's just like, well, this is a harsh review. I didn't mean for it to be. I'm going to sneak this in the middle of my book vlog and hope nobody notices. But can I get like my brain cells back? Please. Pretty please. Okay, moving on. Hell, I just realized when I bought this book, I also bought The Kiss Curse because I fell into the charming cover advertising under the Barnes & Noble new release table with the flashy sign. Oh my God. Am I going to have to read that? What's going to happen? Oh God. I should just return it and not even bother. Maybe it's better. Cover and a title do not a great book. A bit about Rewitched. This is how far I am. Actually, I read one chapter past that. I'm halfway, and already just the first half beats the entire book of the X-Hex. This would be an example of what I've read so far of where a cover matches the genre, the style. Charming, cozy, sweet, magical, autonomous, atmospheric, Halloween themed, witchy. This matches. The dialogue's not cheesy. The descriptions are lovely. The story is addicting. There's no like, hey, the fuck was that? Like, I don't understand this young generation that can't say, what the fuck was that? Why do you gotta say, the fuck was that? This was written in here like multiple times. The fuck was that? Like, just say what? What the fuck was that? How hard is it? What the fuck was that? It was a ghost. The fuck? Like trying to match your writing to the younger generation slang is a killer for anyone over age 30. I don't know. Okay, I'm done. I'm done ranting. This should be like an R-rated vlog. You a passage from Rewitched that gives you that feel of what I was talking about. It's lovely. But the ceiling was what caught Belle in awe, and she nearly lost her balance as she craned her neck and held on to the brim of her hat to gaze straight upwards. Melting into the bows of velvet, the whole expanse was charged with lightning. Live electricity, a parachuting blanket of what looked like television static, crackling and popping as sparks flew in all directions, crashing and bouncing off one another, stars that were alive and flying, rainbows of light reflected like the most extreme disco ball, a mirrored mosaic of color and energy. She recognized the glittering firefly-like movements from her own finger, but this existed on a much larger, hypnotizing scale. The ceiling of Hesita House's atrium was lined with pure magic, a woven tapestry of the precious power that ran through her every day. It was mesmerizing to witness. She only broke her gaze to catch a sight of the floor, equally beautiful at her feet. Below her boots, vividly painted tiles of navy, cerulean, and slate slotted together as an intricate puzzle to form a floor that depicted the night sky, wild and stirring with the smallest of details, just like the coven cloaks. An astrological sun and whimsical moon were woven together and surrounded by all the stars imaginable, constellations and planets gilded with gold and set against the rich blue. She hardly dared to walk across it. So she goes, she gets called to, I don't want to say which inquisition, her coven hosts trials. If she wants to keep her magic, at a certain age, it's her 30th birthday, she has to go and stand in front of all these witches, and they look at her life and her mistakes, and anyway, she has to find the location of this witch's house, the central hub of where this is going to take place when they call her to come. It turns out the entrance to that is to a graveyard, but it's so magical, like the descriptions of the graveyard and how the entrance to the witch's kingdom, so to speak, kind of made me think of like Diagon Alley somehow, like this underworld of Harry Potter land, but more like for witches. And it was the entrance like through the graveyard, and that appears around some like big crypt or headstones or something, and getting in there, and how she almost gets filled up with sand, like she gets stuck in an hourglass and she has to bust her way out and then make it. But the witchy charming, delightful descriptions are very, very well done. The dialogue doesn't suck. The writing, the narrative, and the prose matches the style and genre of the book, and the cover that is depicted. So I'm still not the biggest, fan of these genres, but this makes me feel like I'm what I was looking for, like in the the autonomous read. This is why I I'm reading about 50 books right now on witches to kind of see what's good, what's not, what I want to teach about with the literary canon of the witch in literature. And obviously a lot of these books are just contemporary fiction that are just examples of how popular witches are in literature, even in modern day fiction. Everyone just goes nuts for them, and so if it's done well, great, but don't put it into like okay, I'm not gonna talk about the cheesiness anymore. I'm done. Going on to Slewfoot now. That book is amazing. Okay, going now to make my tea. So I want to talk a little bit about The Pumpkin Princess and the Forever Knight. You know, I am generally a nice person. I try to be sensitive to authors and, you know, not being too harsh in my reviews. This book is amazing. And I'm going to tell you right now that I do not say ever a book is good or great because I know, because it's on the top 100 or top 500 or everyone's talking about it, that if I just make one mention of it and every booktuber's talking about it, and that if you link it, you run down and get it or get some shared commission, like I can't even help wondering how many of these people that actually are saying this book is so good and so amazing, go out and buy it, have actually even read it. I don't know, but I will never do that. Just like I have an adult coloring art channel where I teach adult coloring skills and more advanced books. It's called the Coloring Oasis. You can check that out if you want, or subscribe. I link that below. I review adult coloring books and art, and I do not say a book is good or great. I'll review 10 of them at once, and I'll be like, I hate this, I like this is a problem. Like, I am honest. So, you know, if it's a new author and the book is poorly constructed, I won't put a review at all. I will give it feedback on how to improve it as a teacher myself. But if it's a well-known author that has a ton of books and somehow marketing has got the author up high and it's all over the place, it doesn't really matter so much what I say. But this book is by Stephen Bambury. Now, this is an atmospheric book, and there are a lot of slow, sleepy, middle grade books. This writing is actually just mesmerizing, action-packed, quintessential. It's like Halloween Town versus Whoville all together, and it's action-based. I mean, it's really good. I've only read 2 chapters. Just started that today. So obviously I can't give my full review. It starts amazing. Obviously some books can start well and tank harder and faster than the Titanic did as it goes on. But I'm hoping this one will not. So let me read you the first line. So if you look at it, An Escape Most Daring, it's about a young orphan girl who's escaping from an orphanage, and she's tried multiple times and failed. She has a plan. She's trying to enact her plan. It's night. She's running through the woods. She's being chased. She ran. As fast as her legs could move, she ran. A sparse forest loomed before her, its dark trees wrapped in moonlit mists. If she could just make the tree line. Behind her, she could hear barks and men shouting. The faint glow from their flashlights was getting brighter, telling her they were closing in. She knew they would eventually catch her. They always did, after all. This was by no means her first escaped attempt from the orphanage. So it was very engaging from the beginning, and this chase that goes on, and she ends up, let's just say, getting rescued by the Pumpkin King. Let's just put it that way. And was there a description of him? Where's that? And it's All Hallows Eve, by the way. It's Halloween when she's actually escaping. I'll wait and save all that for my review. So this is another good, fun, atmospheric read for entertainment. It's good, and this cover is incredible. So what I love is when covers match the quality of the story and the writing. I hate it with a passion when
artists are engaged to make fantastic covers to lure people to buy books that are terribly written. I hate that. It's like my biggest pet peeve. But this so far is quintessential and it's adorable. So I will do my review here coming up of everything I read in October. But if you're looking for a spooky Halloween read that so far is good, I'm going to read some more today. I'm doing my vlog wrap up. So I'm going to make a little trip to Whole Foods and get some of their mozzarella pasta salad because it's amazing and so unhealthy, I'm sure. And yeah. Oh, you guys want to see my Hocus Pocus? My Jim Shore Hocus Pocus statue? Check that out. Isn't that gorgeous? It's by Jim Shore. You can get this on Hallmark.com, Amazon. Hi everyone, this is the wrap up, the end of my first ever booktube vlog. I have no idea how it was, if I did it right, if I did it wrong, if I offended anyone by giving a bad book review or cussing, which mostly because I was trying to reference the book's cussing, which was out of place. And so if you liked what you saw, please give me a thumbs up, let me know. I'll keep doing it. And if not, no need to come back, but I'd love to have you here. And I do try to do book hauls, book reviews, literary analysis, literary topics. I'm working on some courses right now for adult literature. I'm working on The Witch as the literary canon in fiction across the genres. A course I'm going to be putting out available to everybody. I'm also working on a membership that's going to include 100 fantasy novels from middle school all the way up, and where we'll be reading every single book on the list, which is an accumulation of books pulled from many different lists, including some of my own, and learning about fantasy literature, having great discussions about it, and there'll be a lecture for every book. You can join that class. That'll be on Patreon. I'm still launching that class. That membership. It's not out just yet, but the list will be available. And if you're interested, make a comment below so I can be sure to tag you when it's released. So thanks everybody, and I'm off now to eat my lunch. We're having this heat wave here for mid-October. It's really odd. We're in the Pacific Northwest. It's like in the 70 degrees, and it's just, but you know, global warming's not real. Just kidding. It's never ever been this warm in October. Like, I'm bummed because I pulled out all my awesome like autumn and fall stuff and I can't wear it yet. So I'm like wearing like summer dresses and light cardigans and stuff. So anyway, yeah, I'll see you in the next video.